Hi, welcome to the New Jersey Skinny, brought to you by the New Jersey Association of Realtors, where we dig into the most recent numbers from our market. Let's start with buyers. Closed sales were up 25.2% to 29,628 sales. On the seller side, new listings were up a respectable 7.6% to 43,446 new homes. Statewide, seller activity has been creeping higher lately, as sellers are feeling more confident with the changing landscape. An emerging pattern could be upon us. And it's a welcome change. Educated buyers continue to monitor seller activity closely in anticipation of additional choices. Inventory is still thin in areas, but the year-over-year declines could start to fade as sellers regain their footing. Statewide, the number of homes for sale fell 15.5% from last year to land at 65,319 active units. Since reaching a peak in mid-2011, the number of active listings on the market has been trending downward. Multiple offers are still pretty common, so serious buyers need to come out swinging because the season likely depends on it. At $305,000, the median sales price was up an even 7% compared to last year. That marks the highest median price since the third quarter of 2010 and the fourth consecutive quarter of year-over-year price gains. What's driving this, you ask? Less supply, more demand, and an improving sales mix. What's fueling the demand? Still affordable interest rates and home prices, an improving labor market, and rising rents. The possibility of further increases in mortgage rates and home prices is also fueling buyer demand. There are now 8.2 months supply of inventory in the state, 27.4% less than last year at this time. That may sound like a lot, but it's a far cry from the more than 15 months of supply seen just 2 years ago. Sellers are accepting offers that are more in line with asking prices than in the past. On average, in fact, sellers received 96.2% of their list price at sale, the highest ratio for any quarter since the fourth quarter of 2007. That's the New Jersey Skinny for this quarter. Check back next time for the latest.